Do you struggle with attacking on Pearl? Maybe you're able to get onto site and plant the bomb, but the enemy team already has a good retake and you just lose and they defuse. Or maybe you struggle with holding onto the site. The enemy team throws really good util, finds the right picks, and is able to take site without you even noticing it. But don't worry, in this video, I'm going to give you 7 tips on how to win Pearl more in ranked. If you don't know me, my name is Plops. I'm an Immortal Valorant player that enjoys coaching and analyzing Valorant. Let's start with defaulting. If your team wants to default Pearl, what should you do? You should definitely have one player towards B long. This is so you can jump spot to see if they're opping or if they're even jump spotting. If you get spotted, don't worry. This is good. That means that it's going to keep one player towards B so that way they can't rotate as quickly. If they have a Vise, finding her wall is really important because it gives the enemy team a lot of information. People like to typically put the wall B long, art, or A main. So if you're able to find it early and bait it, the enemy team has to spread out more across the map, and that way makes hitting the sites a lot easier. You should also have someone towards A main to either break the Fade Eye or the Fade Dog. This demise early info that people like to have on A to know if you're trying to rush or hit A. You should also invest a lot of people and util towards mid. Mid on Pearl is super good because it's your best shot at finding a pick around the map. Most of your util should go into this area to either push the enemy team back or try and catch someone off guard. And if you're able to take control of either doors or art, it opens up the map so much more into splitting onto these sites. There's so many different ways to hit A on Pearl, and switching up the way you take it is really good for conditioning the enemy team and not letting them get the read on what you're trying to do. The enemy team likes to throw util towards A main, either a flash or an eye, to see if there's anyone outside of A. You can use this to your advantage by either breaking and rushing, hiding from it then contacting, or if you have one person break it then run away, then the rest of your team can walk up. Using this to your advantage can help make taking A a lot easier. You can also have your team run towards mid to get art control, while your teammates hide from the util and then walk up A main. Or vice versa, have your team run up A main while someone's looking up art. Understanding these different ways to take A is really good so that way you can switch up the way you're attacking to keep the enemy team still confused. If you know that they're using an op or they're on eco, you should probably use a lot more util in A main because contacting is bad because they're most likely either going to hold the angle or they might be holding close with shotguns ready to flash or execute on you. If your team is fighting mid, that's the time that it's better to hide from the util and walk up A main. If you know that they have a Vise, you can walk up because you know that there's going to be a wall in A main that there's not going to be anyone pushed past because, quite frankly, that's kind of dumb. So, tip 2. Take more aggro space on A. If your entire team is pushing A and you don't have a lurk towards mid, you need to take aggressive space once you get onto the site. There's 3 angles that the enemy team can hold you from: art, flower, and dugout. If you notice that you're dying to someone spraying through the art smoke a lot, maybe it's worth to smoke out flower and dugout, that way you can fight or hold this guy who's spraying through art. If someone's constantly playing in dugout that's causing you issues, you might want to smoke flower and art so that way you can use util and have your team push up on this dugout player. Taking this aggressive space makes it a lot harder for the enemy team to retake and gives you more breathing room on site while you're planning. Tip 3. Cutting noise in mid. If you're defaulting mid and you're able to get a good pick, you can cut noise and just wait for the enemy team to react. Since mid leads to both sites on this map, the enemy team might be frantic to rotate or re-clear. You can use this information to your advantage and rotate to the right site or kill someone trying to re-clear mid. Pearl is a very mid-heavy map, and using this to your advantage is going to allow you to take the sites so much easier rather than just going through the mains and not having any map control throughout the round. Tip 4. Stop getting spotted on B long. If your team is trying to re-hit B, it's super hard to re-hit if the enemy team still knows you're there. So you need to be able to hide and not make noise from this B long player that's jump spotting. You want them to jump peek so that way that they don't see anyone there. This paired with someone making noise on A or a fake smoke on A, with them not seeing anyone B long, is going to make them cheat over and bite on the bait towards A so much more. It'll make getting B site so much easier. But if you get spotted, it blows the whole cover and the enemy team is not going to bite because they're scared of a lurk, so they're not going to leave as easily. Let's move to defense. Tip 1. Reacting from A pressure. Like I said earlier, there's a lot of ways to approach A side. So as a defender, you need to be able to react accordingly to what the attackers are doing. If the enemy team is rushing it down A, it's kind of hard to fight it if your team is not really ready for it or you guys didn't plan on fighting early. What should you do? If your teammates are able to rotate quickly, you should be ready for the execute, and whoever's in art should try and clear mid by jiggling or throwing util like a dog to see if there's someone lurking or if there's anyone there, so that way if there isn't, you can focus entirely on A side, and if there is, you as a team can try and focus on that player and try and pick them off early, so it makes the retake a lot easier. If the enemy team gets a pick on your teammate Art and pushes Art really quickly, you should try and reactively take A main. There might be someone there that you'll be able to try and get the pick on who might not be ready for you, or even if they're all in Art, you'll be able to pinch from A main and flower with your team, so that way you have a crossfire on them coming. And the longer you stay alive in A main, the more pressure it puts on that enemy team to either use util and spend it on you to get you out of A main, which allows your team to fight them from the back, so that way they can retake site a lot easier. Tip 2. Setting up crossfires or traps for the enemies in mid. Mid is a really hard part of the map to hold, and it feels like an entire other bomb site you need to be aware of. If the attackers are getting mid really easily, and your team is struggling to fight it, let them come in. Set up crossfires or a flash play to reactively fight the enemies when they come in. Both Art and Double Doors have heavy choke points that they need to pass through that you should be able to use to punish the enemy team if they come through without util or without using enough resources. Tip 3. Whatever you do on B, do it as a team. B is a weird site. Sometimes it feels really easy to hold, or sometimes it feels impossible to retake. I think the best way to approach B is whatever the person on B is doing, you should try and help them as much as possible. If they're playing retake, stall the plant, spray through smoke, try not to die, save your util for the retake, like mollies and darts, so that way you can flush out the enemy team. If they're playing on site, get the fuck on site. B is a very chaotic site. The attackers have to deal with so many different angles. They have to worry about heaven, CT, both sides of hall, and street. If your teammate's a live back site, you should be trying to swing top heaven, jumping out, shooting through street, throwing util. Do whatever you can to help that player on site and get onto site, and try and kind of create chaos so that way you and your team can try and thrive, because you know where they're going to be, but they don't know where you're going to be. Your best chance is to do whatever your team chooses together, because it's a lot harder to play retake on B with only 3 people. It's a lot harder to hold site with only 1 or 2 people with no util.